thank you so much for joining us this evening on Sacred Segments. It's beautiful to see you all, and I'm really thrilled to have Greta back because she's been traveling, and you weren't around last week, although thank you for popping in, or rather 2 weeks ago, I should say.
Yeah, sure.
So lovely to have you, and you're gonna, as I understand it, you're gonna do a beautiful meditation for us later on.
Yeah, that's right.
Great, and I'm thrilled to also have Bonnie here this evening.
Thank you.
Who's our guest speaker this evening, who's going to talk about, among other things, I'm very excited about this, her near-death experience, which we're going to call temporary death experience, or TDE. And Savannah and Carisha, lovely to see your beautiful faces again. And I was excited to see you on Instagram and all your travels, because you know, it's nice to see what my friends are up to, you know. Isn't it great that we have this incredible technology that can connect us wherever we are? We moan about it, but you know, it does have its advantages. So I'm going to start with just asking us to set our intention, and I'll speak mine, and then I'll invite you to share yours if you would like to. So for me, I have the intention of having greater clarity and focus in my life, and to reconnect with my soul's purpose, which is constantly unfolding. It's a greater clarity, greater focus, and to connect with my soul's purpose. That's what my intention is. I'll invite you now, Greta, to share your intention if you would like to.
Yeah, for sure. Yours is beautiful and big, and right now I was thinking my intention for today and maybe lately. So my intention is to learn more and more about this amazing emotional guidance system that we have. And as I am learning more and more, I am finding that we are taught to deal with our emotions in healthy ways and sit with our emotions. And most of what I'm reading, listening to, stop there. So nobody tells us how to do it. So my intention today is to share a way to do it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
To connect with your emotion, right? Is that right? Do I
Like,
understand that right?
let's say you're experiencing a negative emotion.
Yeah.
And so many people deal with it with eating. We eat our emotions,
Yeah.
or we drink our emotions. I need a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Or we stuff them down, or we have these unhealthy ways of dealing with our emotions. And we're told when growing up, oh, don't cry, don't be angry, don't show your emotions. So nobody's teaching us how to sit with our negative emotions long enough that they dissipate.
Wow.
So I've been wondering how to do this, and I've been reading and I've been searching for the answer, and I think I have one. Not necessarily the answer, because there are many, but I have one and I want to share it today.
That's so interesting. And
yeah.
I notice sometimes with certain people, you know, they don't like to be around anger and confrontation. It's frightening for them. I think for me too, sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's healthy, isn't it, to express your anger? You know, it's not always a bad thing.
I guess it depends how it's expressed. Like, I saw this picture on Facebook of a dad and a granddad, and in the middle, in the grocery store, there's a 5-year-old girl having a, anger fit. And they're just standing there holding space for her. And so there's nothing threatening about this 5-year-old child being angry. But if you were a grown man expressing your anger in threatening ways, then that I would not want to be around that. So
That makes sense.
because I would feel threatened.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm safe,
Yeah.
I'm practicing my ability to hold space for emotions.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greta. I want to welcome Rich. Is it Rich or Richard? Are you there? I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, just say hi. Not to worry. If not, we can always come back to you. Don't feel the need that you have to participate. Well, hello anyway, Richard, or Rich, if you're there.
Hey, Rich.
So, Bonnie, would you like to share your intention?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. My intention is for this moment, right now, to hold on to good thoughts, good intentions, because people that we love often hurt us or say things, and we say things to other people unknowingly and sometimes intentionally, or I think we're in hurtful times right now. And so my intention is to try to deliver myself to others in a better way.
That's beautiful.
That's, and we'll share a little bit of that further in a little bit, but that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bonnie. Savannah, would you like to share your intention?
Sure. So I guess my intention that I've had all day, actually, since I had a couple of things in the past few days that shook me up, just coming back to trusting that I get to be in this human experience, and all of this is Earth School, and that whatever goes on and whatever happens is just an opportunity to learn more about myself and what still needs healing and what still needs to be looked at, and holding compassionate space for that. So just reminding myself of that and just trusting in the process.
It's really powerful. Thank you. Carisha, would you like to share your intention? Or an intention?
Yeah. For some reason today I found it really difficult to think of one. I feel like my head's been a bit mush recently, so trying to think of one thing is like
Are you jet lagged?
But no, I'm not jet lagged. It was only 2 hours. It's the same.
Okay. Oh, you were only in Portugal. You weren't.
Yeah. I should use that as an excuse though. Yeah, I'm jet lagged. But I guess my intention based around that would be to just really be kind to myself and just allow things to flow when they flow, and be present to if I am potentially blocking off myself from emotion or feeling some type of way, and just allowing it to happen. I guess I do have an intention.
I love that. I love that. It's really important how we talk to ourselves, and I'm really big on being conscious about how I speak to myself. And even though I'm aware of all of this stuff, I still beat myself up all of the time. And then I have to remind myself and catch myself in the moments that I'm doing it and say, come on, you know better than this, you know, be kind to yourself. And no matter how many times we treat ourselves badly, you know, if we beat ourselves up about it, we remain stuck there, right? So if we're kind to ourselves, we can shift it. Only love can heal, and anything else doesn't really work. And that includes self-love, right? So thank you for reminding me about that, Carisha. Christine, are you there? If you would unmute, if you don't mind, you can hear me.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm just in nature with my children.
Ah, that's lovely.
Yes.
Well, welcome. I haven't
Thank
met
you.
before, but, good to say hi. And we're just sharing our intentions. And if you would like to share yours, then please feel free.
Okay, thank you. My intention today is to release anything that I'm not aware of that's blocking my God power to manifest, and to receive everything in the now, all the peace and stableness and stillness and oneness.
Does this guy get wet?
I love that. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful. So
Yeah, I've been meditating for some time, so
today,
and, yeah.
oh, beautiful, beautiful. I do meditate, but I don't do it every day, and I would like to. There are times when I've done it twice a day, and that's amazing. But I don't do it every day, and I would really like to get into that routine. I think that's another intention I have for myself is to be a little bit more disciplined with my time. Time management has always been a thing for me that I would like to achieve better time management. So I think I would like to add that to my intention. I have a bit of a list of intentionality going on this evening. But with all of that in mind, let's just take a breath together. And just on the out breath, just release anything that's less than love, anything that isn't serving us, any lower frequencies that we may have gathered in our energy field. And as we think down to our beautiful Mother Earth, let's just give her thanks for her support and for her love, for her nurturing, and for her providing a safe space for us all to just live and breathe and be and experience. We send her our love and our gratitude, and in reverence, we ask for her violet flame of transmutation and protection to come up through us and through our world to transmute and uplift all frequencies that are less than love and return us to our inner state of pure oneness, of pure love, of pure knowing, and pure contact with our higher selves. And we give thanks for this now. And we also, in this moment, ask for the higher power that is us, and that is with us and beyond us, and that is all things, to come down in the form of a white light and fill our brains, fill our hearts, fill our minds, fill our bodies, fill this world with its wisdom, with its grace, with its knowledge of absolute serenity and guidance at all moments, so that we can know and feel that we are fully connected to this higher power at all times, and that all we need to do is bring our thoughts to this, and it is done. So as we bring these forces of the white light and the violet light from the Mother Earth together in our hearts, let's take them up into the golden sphere above our heads. And offer these two divine forces to the golden sphere that is our divine spirit, that is us in our golden essence. And as we visualize the golden rain pouring down through our brain, through our hearts, through our bodies, it's called the golden wedding garment, and also the practice of the presence. Just let's fill our bodies and our minds with this gold, healing, beautiful, high frequency energy, so that we can be bathed in this beautiful light. Let this knowledge and divine love fill our hearts, our minds, and our bodies and our auric structures now. And remembering that now is all time, and that wisdom is always, and it never leaves us. And that life is just a constant series of now, and we can be in that divine presence now. So let's just all take a deep breath. Thank you, everybody. So I'm going to now hand over to Bonnie, who we're going to enter into a sort of question stroke interview, and I invite you all to participate in this experience. So Bonnie has many hats. I know that you're a registered nurse. I know that you're an artist and a writer and a mother. And you had this incredible life-changing experience, right?
Yes.
I'm intrigued to learn more about it. And if anybody feels that they would like to ask anything, then there will be, opportunities for questions as well. But, feel free to be part of this conversation, and, it's an open forum, right? But Bonnie, please tell us about your experience.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your program and asking me. And I hope that I will be able to touch every one of you in some way, and myself. And if my friend Rich comes back on, it would be great to have him here as a reference and as a secondary resource. What happened I've always been a spiritual person. And for a while, I was a religious person for many years. But in 1998, I went back to a Gnostic frame of mind. But in February the 8th, 2019, I had what's called a TDE or an NDE. A TDE is a little bit longer than a near-death experience, but I was gone for a little over 30 minutes. And when I returned, I was in a hospital. I'd been intubated and CPR and everything. But when I returned with a head injury. So once in a while, you'll see Alexis have to cue me and say, he'll help me with an expression or something, and that's okay. I'm used to that. I'm better in the mornings than I am in the afternoon, so I forget very easily. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, I had a TDE, and I had that because of a flu shot injection that I'm allergic to. And I told the hospital, I'm a nurse also, I told them I'm allergic to it. And my choice was either take it or leave. And so I didn't want to leave. So I took it, and 2 months later, I had a near-death experience from it. In that experience, I tell you that I've always been a spiritual person, but from that near-death experience, I realized that my spirituality was very minimum. And I'm not a know-it-all now. Don't think that. I would never say that of myself. But I realize now that what I knew before was just a smidgen. And so I'm going to back up to right now to this time and let you know that last night, this is something that we NDEers and TDEers go through quite often. People don't believe us, or people find it hard to understand this. Are they lying? Are they telling the truth? And so my family came at me last night with, well, you know, we don't believe you. This is all nonsense. Stop this business. Go back to who you were. You know, blah, 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 blah. And when you try to tell somebody there is no going back, you can't go back. You can't go backwards. You've got to go forwards, because in order to go backwards, you'd have to have another head injury to take you back to where you were. And so there just isn't. That's just not a possibility. But anyway, now I'm going to jump to my TDE. So bear with me as I do this jumping. I had an unusual TDE because I didn't have what normal people have as tunnels and lights and angels and blah, 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 blah. And nor did I see hell. Okay. I went to an extremely fascinating place. And when I awakened over there, I was in what I call a petri dish, you know, and I awakened in the void, of voidness, of nothingness, no colors, no humans, no emotions. And I said, hello, I'm here. Somebody come help me. And immediately I was let out, and I was let into a world of where I saw mountains and blood, and I saw an tall Asian man stirring a stream of blood. And I said, am I in hell? And he said, oh no. And I said, well, what are you doing? He says, I'm stirring brains. And I said, well, why would you stir? He says, I'm cleansing them. And I said, what? And I said, well, does it hurt? And he said, well, did it? And so I said, well, okay. And he said, in order to ascend, you must be cleansed. So that was the first step. Now, at this point in time, I want to tell you that in the afterlife, there is no time. So time is, I describe it as being in a balloon. Okay, so when one point of reference is important, that balloon part will blow up and then it will shrink back, and another will blow up and shrink. So each portion of the death experience that I tell you about is a part of the balloon that blows up and shrinks back. So I don't know the exact timing, is what I'm trying to tell you. So after that, I proceeded to the door open, and I proceeded through a doorway through to the pyramids, to the Sumerian tablets, to Machu Picchu, to all the places on earth. And I had in my hand dirt that was golds and silvers and iron ores and minerals, fossils. And I held them in my hand, and I could see that quantum physics was very real. I could see that beneath us in this earth is billions of other dimensions and parallel universes that are beneath us. And so I got to see all that. I put my hands on the Sumerian tablets. I read them. And I suspect that my ancestry probably goes back to the Sumerians. I'm just guessing. I don't know for sure. At that point in time, after that part was over, I was taken into the, off the planet Earth, and I was taken into a spaceship. And it was somewhere around Pleiades or Orion's belt. And there I was introduced to what I call aliens, 5 of them. And those alien beings were, I said, I wasn't frightened, I wasn't scared, they weren't odd to me. I said, are you our human DNA? And they said, yes, we are. Now, I didn't know if the 5 were my human DNA or the DNA of the whole entire universe or this world. I didn't go that far. But so they asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I felt like I was being interviewed. And one of the questions that I remember is they asked me about binary codes. And I said, well, I've never read binary codes. I don't know what they mean. And they pretty much said to me, oh, yeah, yes, you do, you know. And so they said, well, we can sit here forever if you want. But I guess I told them what the binary codes were, and they are: when someone cries out on this earth and they need help, the binary codes assist them to find us. Does that make sense? So they find us through our petitions through binary codes. One of the, I had 3 things that I wanted to tell you that I was taught, and I wrote them down so I didn't forget them. But the first thing is time and memories, because I asked them, how come I didn't have a tunnel and lights and angels and that so forth, and how come I was in this void? I didn't remember. And they said to me, you don't remember unless there's oxygen, because to have memories of the earth, you will have oxygen plus earth time, and that equals memories. If you have no memories of the earth, or you don't remember being here, it is because there is no oxygen. So when somebody says, I had a near-death experience, but I didn't have any vision or memories of it, it's more than likely they just didn't have oxygen associated with that. So that's what they told me. Memories, that's what that equals. The second thing they told me, I think I've already told you, is, okay, Greta, you were talking about emotions. And I said to you, I was responding to you because going through it, emotions are, okay, I'm sorry. I am a warrior, okay? And so when I had my experience, they said to me, you worry a lot. And I said, yes, I do. And so they said, okay, in this life, as you live it, you are not promised 2 minutes from now. You're not promised 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 10 days, or 2 years. You are only promised right now in that balloon. As you press out, as time presses out in the right now, all we have is right now. That's it. So it's our choice on what we do with right now. Does that mean we're always going to be good? No. No, but when it brings us to the awareness that all we have is right now, that's it. And so we're able to deal with life a little bit better. And so for somebody that's a warrior, not warrior, but warrior, that's important, because it's a rerouting of the brain structure, which, by the way, they gave me a brain injury to try to work some of that worrying out in my brain so that I wouldn't worry so much, because I was really fanatical about it. I'm a little bit better now, quite a bit actually. And the third thing that they taught me, okay, is on healing. Okay, healing. Okay, in the afterlife, they don't answer questions. Okay, everything is telepathic. Okay, so if I ask them, well, how come I didn't have lights, tunnels, blah, 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 blah? everything is instantly known telepathically. So this is something we have to learn here on Earth, is how to use our telepathy. Okay, we have to get very, very, very keen on it because we may need it one day. Okay, so I suggest that all of us begin to do exercises on using our telepathy, and not so much intuitive. Well, it is intuitive, but really learning how to read people without having them speak. And so the telepathy part is okay in the memories. Okay, so in the telepathy, we are responsible. In other words, they don't do anything for us. That is because they're good parents and they want us to learn it.
Sorry, what
Okay,
was that? What did you say? They are? I didn't hear what you said.
they don't do anything for us.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't do it because they're good parents.
Oh, good parents.
They're good parents. And if they do it for us, we're going to be slow. So they want us to get in here, learn it, make our mistakes, get up and do it again. Keep doing it till we get it right. And so that is, I mean, so if the end of the world was coming to tomorrow, dear God, I hope they jump in here and say, it's not, you're not going to do it, you know? But from what I was taught is you and I have to do this. We have to learn this. We have to be really good students. And those were the three things that I wanted to bring to you. So if you have any questions about that, or any questions about the NDE or anything else, feel free to ask.
Greta.
I have a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to preface it with a little story. I was with my husband visiting his mom, and she's so lovely and she loves making breakfast. And I was, for fun, just thinking and it's just silly things like thinking, pass me the eggs, or pass me some butter, or I want some coffee. And instantly she just got up and just, or just passed me. So I guess it's a silly thing. There's no resistance, but how do we go about practicing telepathy?
Body language, of course, it's hard when you're on Zoom, but I think if we were to get a partner and we would start actually using, psychic abilities, and maybe pick a number 1 through 10, and then, start doing it that way, or say, tell me what I'm thinking, or, after reading my body language, what am I thinking? And just start with, am I having good thoughts, or, are you seem to be processing something. And try to stay away from the negativity, oh, you're really depressing, because we all get there sometimes, and nobody wants to hear you're really depressing, because you have to have the baritone with the soprano. Okay, the soprano, Alexis, you have to have night with darkness, and so
harmony and yin and
yang.
Yeah. I have an exercise that we can actually all do, and I have at least 5 questions for you, but I won't ask them yet. But there is an exercise, a telepathic exercise that I would like for us all to try. But I would like you to finish your point on what you were saying before we do that.
Oh, okay. Well, really, that was pretty much it. It's really, we just have to exercise it. We have to become more in tune. And I really do think it's a matter of coming out of us, which we have a tendency to do, and come and sit in that other person. I don't know if you guys have been hearing a lot about the military and how they've been using, what do you call it?
Psychic phenomena?
Yes, but
And
they've been,
telepathy?
yes, they've been using that, but they have a special name for it.
Oh,
But they're not-
astral projection?
No, but they use the psychic abilities, but they're not psychics in the military. They've trained people to focus in, go across the world and focus in on.
Remote viewing.
Yes, thank you. They've been very successful with teaching average people remote viewing.
Correct.
And so I would suggest that, Greta, maybe getting something going, like somebody read something like that and start practicing some of that. I think that would be a good thing to do.
That's fascinating. I have quite a few questions regarding dreams, regarding your art. I also want to talk to you about your father, who I know was a contactee, and about your early life when you were 6. Before I ask you those questions, I would like to just do this little telepathic exercise, but does anybody else want to add anything or ask any questions to Bonnie about what she said so far?
You don't have to ask, but you can let it come later. Don't be forced, but
Sure.
if you can always send me a message too, if you'd like to.
Go ahead, Carisha.
I have a question, but I think it might be to one that Alexis asked, but like the things that you were explaining with your experience that you've had, do you feel like, or do you think that people can get there in a dream state as well? Because some of the things that you was explaining, you think it's completely different?
I think a death experience is death, and it's without oxygen.
Okay.
Do I think a dream state, and I think that meditation, absolutely wonderful, and we should all do it. Okay, it is close, and sometimes it's malinforming us, like dream states. Okay, I'm always have been a big dreamer. I believe forces speak to us in our dreams sometimes. They've been talking to me and mine quite a bit lately. Okay. And I'm gonna right here, I gotta tell you this, because after my family came at me last night, I had a dream last night. It was pretty wild. And at the end of the dream, it was when I caught the person doing these things, horrible things to me, I grabbed the person, I looked at him, and the person was me. Okay. So it was me inflicting all this pain on me. And so I went, oh, wow, that's really, I'm doing that. So I do Qigong for exercise. And in the morning, it's been raining here quite a bit lately. So I went out this morning in between the rain, and I was doing Qigong. I don't know if you guys are into this or not, but it's very much, it was the beginning exercise before Tai Chi. And so I've been doing it for over a year. And so this morning, I think those beings on the other side probably witnessed what happened last night with my family and I. So I'm outside and I'm pulling down the energy. I'm pulling down the energy. I'm doing it in all 4 directions and towards my family members, just pulling down the energy. And all of a sudden I looked at my arms and it was doot, 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 doot. There was light. I was seeing the aura in my arms moving the energy. I have never seen that. I was able to see the energy. And I think all of a sudden they were saying, we want you to see what you're moving. And I went, oh, wow. Because when we are moving Qigong, we are moving energy. Okay. And so we're moving it in your direction, and we're moving good stuff. I don't ever moving bad stuff, but moving some good thoughts and move, and I thought that was really exciting. And I'm so glad I got to tell you that because I was thrilled when I saw that.
That's really
Did I answer
interesting
your
because
question?
I had an ET sighting this week or in the last week.
Okay.
Sorry, I should rephrase that. Not an ET sighting, a craft, and I actually took a photograph of it and put it on my Facebook.
Really?
Yes, and it's the 10th sighting.
I see one on you now. I see it now on you. I sure do. And I could see one on
This was in the sky.
Savannah and the lighting. Yep. Yes.
Well, there's orbs, of course, and ETs have many ways of traveling. Before we do this exercise, and it's interesting that you mentioned the Qigong because that's kind of what I want to do, similar. I'll explain in a second. I just want to acknowledge Syra and say hello to Syra, who's joined us while you were talking. Are you there, Syra? Oh, maybe you'll come back at some point in the call. But this is the
hello, sorry. My battery, I'm on my phone and my battery's really low, so I have to rejoin you on my laptop.
How
really
are
sorry.
you?
I'm okay, but really sorry about that. So.
No, don't be sorry. It's all good. Good to have you on the call, Syra.
Thank you. So I might have to rejoin on my laptop. That's what I'm just letting you know.
Do whatever is right for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So here's the exercise, and then I'll come back and ask you a few questions about what you were talking about, Bonnie. This is relating to the telepathy and the Qigong, right? So I attended a singing class many years ago, and I briefly spoke about this with you on our one-to-one call that we had just recently. This lady, she studied in India with yoga masters, and she's called Nikki Slade. She is a vocal expert, right? Particularly in the kirtan tradition, in the Indian Sanskrit mantras and all of that. And she works with the harmonium, the little box. And this was one of the exercises that she taught us in pairs. And we were sending each other colors using energy. So what I would like to do is send you a color to a specific part of your body, and then you do it and see what kind of results we get. Okay, so I'm going to start with Carisha. Okay, and I'm going to send you a color. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath for a moment, and let's see if it works. Okay, so see if you can sense anything. I'm sending it now. Okay, where did you feel, if you did feel anything? Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay, say it again.
I'm trying to practice. You got to guess what I'm saying. I think I felt it first in my heart, and then I felt it here.
Wow.
And then oh, sorry.
What color? What color?
So at first it was like yellow, green, but then I think it turned to like orangey.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's really interesting because I was sending orange to your shoulders.
No way.
And if you think about yellow and green, I'm not quite sure what they make if you mix them together. But yeah, I was focusing on orange to your shoulders. So you were pretty much getting it.
Yeah, because it felt like it was changing throughout, like it was, and then it got clear. It was like orange, but like almost darkish kind of orange.
Very interesting. Okay, so now I want you to do it for somebody else.
Okay. Did you close your eyes when you did it? I don't know if that is that important. Did you close your eyes?
Yes, but you don't actually. No, I didn't. I didn't close my eyes.
Okay.
So now you do it for somebody else and choose the person that you're going to do it for.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh, this is pressure. Bonnie, I'm gonna do it to you, please. Okay.
I'm seeing a red doorway, red and yellow gold here.
I'm gonna ask you, Carisha, maybe just to also raise your hands and send the energy, like send them out of your palms. So just visualize, and you also open your eyes and visualize it. Visualize it going to the specific area. And just do it for like a few seconds.
Okay.
Okay, I'm still getting red up on top and a goldish orangey color on the bottom.
Yes, I was sending like yellow to your shoulders here.
Okay,
So maybe that was the goldish yellow.
yes. And anything red up on top? This
No,
was very prominent.
that's interesting. Maybe it's just a reflection of
picking up
my
something.
mind right now. Maybe I sent you some. I'm sorry. Maybe I sent you some of how my mind's.
I want to say hi to Anna. Hi, Anna, who's joined us. We are doing a little experiment where Bonnie, who is our guest speaker this evening, has been talking about her near-death experience or temporary death experience, or TDE. And we're just pausing this because she spoke about telepathy, and one of the things that she was, is this right? You were told that we need to develop our telepathy as a species. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're doing this little exercise in sending colors to see if we, how accurate we are being. We don't have to get it right,
Right,
I sent some energy to Carisha. Carisha chose Bonnie to send some color to. So now, Bonnie, you choose somebody and send some.
Okay.
So you're picking a color and a specific part of the body.
Okay.
Who are you choosing?
To Greta.
Greta, what did you feel?
At first, it kind of felt like blue on my face, but then it was more like gold on my forehead.
And what color were you sending to what part?
I sent purple to your heart, and then I changed it to blue.
Interesting. I was seeing green to the heart. So okay, we're not always right. Okay.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
so
and of
we have
course,
to learn.
and sometimes what happens is that we see through the person's aura, and that aura has many layers, right, and many colors.
Right.
So we might be seeing like a filter through of the color. So it's just an experiment. We don't have to always be bang on. Okay, Greta, now you choose somebody and send a color to them and a part of their body.
Okay. I'm going to send a color to Anna.
Anna, what were you experiencing? Did you get anything?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Right. Sorry. It's hot. I was getting here sort of in the heart chakra area. I was seeing like a very deep pink, not a light pink, but a very like a almost a not quite a magenta, but a deep pink.
And what color were you sending Greta, and to where?
I was sending green
Okay.
to your hand or your wrist that was hurting that one time.
Ah,
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting because I was seeing yellow to the ears. So, you know.
I was feeling it in my heart.
Okay, it's interesting.
But then I feel like we have a heart connection.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So, you
yeah.
know, we don't know. Maybe we experience stuff in our heart. Okay, so Anna, you choose somebody and send a color to a part of their body. But speak the person that you are sending
Me?
it. Yes,
Okay, sorry, my internet is not great, so
that's okay.
I didn't hear my name called. Say who's gone already? Who's had?
Everybody's gone apart from Savannah and myself.
Okay. Alexis, I'll send to you.
Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing purple and green to my arm, which changed to yellow. So what did you send and where?
I didn't hear. Sorry, I don't have a very good.
What I saw was purple, and then it changed to green, and then yellow, and I was seeing it to my arm.
Interesting. I was sending green to your intestines.
Okay, interesting.
Saw your intestines. I was like, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to send a color to thank you to Savannah. All right, so okay. Okay, did you pick anything up? Did you receive it?
I want to say like orange, maybe up here.
Okay, I was sending pink to your belly. Okay, so, you know, there's no hard and fast yes or no, you know, to it. And this is something that we can develop. And it's interesting that we're using the internet to do this. You know, that if we were in person, we might be more receptive. You know, who knows? It was just an experiment to see what happened. But some interesting stuff, right? So thank you for taking part in that experiment, everybody. And it's something that you can play with, you know, your loved ones, with your friends, that, you know, just experiment with it. And it's a way that you can develop it. Go ahead, Carisha.
Also, just a quick point. Me and Savannah at my friend's house, we played a game called The Mind. See, she was thinking it as well. And it's such a good game to, in a group, to try and understand each other without knowing anything, like practicing like how we have been here. I don't know how to explain it well, but I'll try. But it's a card game, and there's cards 1 to 100, and you all get given a card, and you have to try and place them down. You can have any card in your hand. You have to try and place them down lowest to highest, but you have no idea what the other people have in their hands. So you have to kind of wait until, unless you're confident that you have the lowest, like if you have 0, sorry, I think it starts at 0, then you're confident you can put that down. But the next number that someone might have might be like 23 or 35. So then they have no idea if someone has lower or higher. Anyway, the first time we did it in a group, it went pear-shaped straight away because it was all like, oh, I don't know what we're doing. But the second time, straight away, there was like this sense that came over us. Oh, and we also, one of my friends said, let's give energy to the cards and pass it around first. And then we can kind of group each other together better energetically. And then after that, we managed to get to level 4, which is really big in this game. But I would definitely recommend people to look this game up, because I feel like if you was to practice something like that, especially with the same people, I think there would be something that you'd be able to transfer into this further.
Well, perhaps we could set up a session in the future where we could try this, you know,
Yeah.
together, and whoever's on this call and whoever we want to invite, we could try that, in the future. That's really interesting, Carisha. Let's set that up at some point soon. I want to ask Bonnie a few more questions about her experience, and also open it to you all as well. That experiment probably took up at least 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your time of what we were going to do. So I want to use that time to ask you these questions. So let's start with your father, okay? I know that your father was a contactee, ET contactee, and you told me that he worked for the military, is that right?
He was in the Air Force, and he also became a mechanical engineer and worked for the government. And that was in the 1950s. Well, he was in World War II, then 1950s and 60s. And I was born in 1952. So in 1950 to 1965, somewhere in there, I was 7 to 10 years old. And we lived in a little town in Texas at the time. And he built rockets and missiles. And anyway.
I remember you said that you told me that, like, when you were younger, he would talk about his ET experiences, and you didn't know that he didn't know that you remembered.
Yes,
right?
well, I'm trying to get to that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to put my age so everybody knows I was just a kid. And so he's assuming she's a kid, she won't know anything. And so he was at work, and he went out on a platform to look at a satellite. And I think it was 1950. And while he was there, he had a camera, and he and another guy were circled by lights, and they took pictures of the lights on the property of the government. And so the next day he was flown to Washington, and he was told, don't you ever speak about this ever again. Well, so as a kid, I'm hanging around his little projects that he does at the house, and he's always murmuring, speaking under his breath. And he says, and that government and blah, 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 blah. And he's saying, he's talking about how much he disliked Project Blue Book. And so in the 3rd or 4th grade, I actually did a book report on Project Blue Book. And I remember my teacher looked up at me and she said, where did you get that information? How do you know that? Because at the time, Project Blue Book was not popular. Okay. And I said, well, I got it from my father. He's the source. And she said, oh. And so anyway, I grew up with having the knowledge of my father involved in having close encounters. I believe he had 2. And from that incident, as a child, I started having incidences. And they were rare when I was a kid. But I do remember one specific night. I knew when they were coming, the beings, and they were not nice beings. And they came at night to speak to him, I guess. And I'm just a kid in the middle of the night, and they'd come through my room. There must have been a portal in my room or something, but they came through my room. And as they came through my room, they walked up the hall towards his room. But I'll never forget one night, one of the huge beings looks at my face and he shakes his finger and he says, you ever open your mouth and you say anything, you know, of course, he's not speaking, he's using telepathy, but he has his finger. And he was about huge, in my opinion, as a 6 or 7 year old, but I would say was probably about 7 feet tall and had a cloak, about like rounded and very, very long, slender. And I did not see a face. I didn't want to see a face. I guess I could have, but I was too frightened. And so I grew up, I've been regressed a couple of times to try to remember that. And in the regressions, I get to a point where I'm told to go away, go away. You're not wanted. You were never invited. This isn't for you. Don't get involved. And so I'm going to bring us to a point that there are beings, but they have different characters and personalities, and some are evil. And to me, they were evil, you know.
So may I ask you, sorry, you were going to...
No, that's fine.
Okay, may I ask you, after your temporary death experience, where you said that you were met by these 5 beings, do you think that they were the same or similar beings to the beings that you'd encountered? Were they, in your opinion, good? They were good or neither?
Yes, they were good.
So
they didn't remember them, but they were good beings.
When you were met by these 5 beings, I remember when we spoke, you said that there was a sort of blue bird-like being, and of course I've heard of the blue avians, and there was like a little grey one and a very big one, you said.
Very tall white one, yes.
And,
well, what's really weird is the tall white one. I remember specifically that one was at the end, and they never gave me eye contact. And I know it really, really bothered me. Why don't they look me in the eye? Why can't they look me in the eye? And so when about a year ago, a friend of mine whose father was also in the Air Force. She's also an NDE. She was telling me about why tall alien whites never look people in the eye. And I'm going, what? And that just answered my question. They don't look people in the eye because they're very protective of their children. And they feel that anybody that looks at them in the eyes is threatening their children. And so evidently they have they'll come after you big time. She said they'd kill you if you ever went after their children. And
so I would like to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, if you were going to encapsulate, was their main message to you? What did you take away from that experience?
Okay.
Now that you're back, you know.
It is okay. There were 2 things that were important. Number 1 was we only have right now, this moment. We're not given any other time, just right now. And number 2, as I did come back, they gave me a purple tunnel to fly through because I was complaining that I didn't have a white one or whatever. So they gave me this purple tunnel to come back through. And as I'm coming through the tunnel and flying back into my body, I'm hearing the words, "Don't forget love. It's the only glue that sticks."
Wow.
Okay, and that was really their most important thing that they could have said. And since I've been back, now I'm not a lover of people, I'll tell you that. I'm sorry, but I just trust animals better because animals don't hurt you, they don't abandon you, they don't, you know what I mean? So
why do you think that you were given another chance to live?
To come back, to talk, to tell people. I can't say it wasn't my time because they actually gave me the choice. But if I chose to come back, I have to talk. I have to tell people. And it is about love. We don't have a choice. We have a world that needs to be straightened out. And we have a short time to do it. And that's
you've mentioned dreams,
why I came back.
and them continuing to communicate with you through dreams.
Yes.
Like, what kind of stuff do they communicate to you?
Well, for one thing was the moment thing. they re-emphasized that to me because I was stressing one night and I went to bed and in my dream I was stressing, and it was hey, we're reminding you, don't forget, a red balloon blew up and you've got right now. And none of the other stuff matters. It's right now.
What do you mean by red balloon?
Well, in my dream, I saw it as a red balloon blew up, and in that swollen part of the balloon was right now, right now. So when right now is over, it comes back. You know, we're not on a timeline off this earth. We're at one point. Everything's at one.
Okay,
So
there's like no time.
This moment that we're in right now is an acceleration of the balloon, and then it will shrink back. It'll grow out because there's no timeline up there.
I know a lot of people that of course, like hallucinogenics are very popular right now, and like a lot of people are sort of using hallucinogenics in business actually to kind of gain insight. And one of the things that people say is that there's no time, and that everything is happening right now.
That's right.
And that, you know, when we go beyond into the all time, that it's all right now, and Earth is just like recreated that time.
It's hard to imagine that
in our current mindset.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
get
What does
you.
that mean?
I want to ask you about your art, and do you communicate the what you've experienced through your art?
Okay, so after my experience, one of my best friends is an art therapist, and they are therapists, but they use art. Okay, and she would say to me, you need to draw what you're telling me. And I'm going, I can't. It would never be good enough. It's, you know, that she said, it doesn't matter if you draw a stick figure and it represents to you, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's just that you keep a record. So I started, and yesterday I went and I don't know if can you see those?
It's blurry. Yeah. Oh, we could see it for a moment there.
Well, I can't show you all of them, but there's 23 in here, and I still have like 30 more to do, but I haven't stopped drawing. And does it look like my near-death experience? No, it doesn't. But it gives me the feeling that I've experienced it. You know, it gives me the remembrance. It might not give you. I've had people tell me, "Oh, wow, that gives me that experience. I can feel it," but really, it's pretty hard to put a whole universe in your picture. You know, it's when you've got a moment of time. How can you include that in a whole picture? You know.
Before I open, you know, the floor to questions from anybody else to you, is there anything specifically that you want to say about your experience that you haven't said, or you know, to anybody that might be listening to the video, or, you know, what would you like to say?
I think the most important thing to say is we as a whole, people, have right now to try to make this world better, to love. I mean, it's just, that is the most important thing. I mean, that's all I can say. It's and it's not saying I love you. It's actually standing in there and doing the I love yous. I mean,
how do you do that? How do you do that? Like, you know, like you said, you mentioned like your family gave you a hard time for wanting to talk about your experience. Like when you're on the receiving end of like a lot of negative energy, how can you be loving in those moments when you are being, you know, kind of like persecuted?
It's hard I mean, and for that moment, when somebody online tells you, oh, you're lying, or, for a minute, you get very, very angry and you want to retaliate and you may say something, but you can always go back and erase what you say. Hopefully they haven't read it yet, and not too many other people, but you react the best that you can do. And you can always say, I apologize, I was wrong. And I think that's all of us have to be able to say that. We all have to learn how to say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And, even if you're not wrong, sometimes it's just saying, I'm sorry that you're hurt. I'm sorry the conversation hurt you. But it's caring enough for the person to give them that opportunity of, okay, this is okay. There doesn't have to be a war over this. We can agree to disagree.
You're reminding me of the Ho'oponopono. I don't know if you all know about that, but the thank you, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, and the story of the doctor, I think he was Hawaiian, who was in a mental institution, and he kept doing it and doing it and doing it. Thank you, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me. Not even having physical contact with these people, not saying it to them. And then they ended up all like overcoming their mental illness and being released, because through saying those words over and over again, he healed them. And I've experienced it in my own life where I've used that like a lot. I have brought a situation that was really toxic into sort of healing. So I totally believe in what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to do it. We must do it. We don't have a choice.
Bonnie, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Is there any questions that anybody would like to ask Bonnie?
That's okay. You can send me an email too.
Yeah, because
a lot of times people can be afraid of death or something like that. And if you need to send something, that's fine. We can talk about that. Oh, and let me say that about death. When we go to die, and you take the yin and yang symbol, and you put it together. So, and you turn it over and over and over. So you birth, you live, you die, you birth, you live, you die.
It's a cycle, right?
That's right. It's like a birthing.
The Hare Krishnas have that beautiful piece of art. I go to a restaurant called Govinda's and there are some in different parts at different cities all over the world, and it's a Hare Krishna restaurant. And in the window they have this beautiful image. Interestingly, they have a blue god as well. However, the image is of man as a child, and then it goes through all of the changes unto death. But they're in a circle, so like you go back and you're reborn, and you just keep going round. And of course, in the if we could learn to ascend and leave the wheel of birth and rebirth.
Is it a Dharma wheel?
I don't know. It may be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But from what I've learned and understood through reading other teachings is that if we can ascend, then we leave that incarnation cycle where we leave the earth and we go into other classrooms and different incarnations. Maybe we live on other planets.
Right.
I loved what you said, Bonnie, about how it was you in your experience when you realized that you were kind of you met yourself,
Yes.
because all is one, right? We're all just different facets of the one energy, which is another thing that's difficult to understand.
Yes.
Unless we go into the superconscious mind where we understand everything, because we all have that knowledge inside of us where we understand everything. We can be wise Buddhas, or we can be numbskulls where we don't understand anything, right? We are everything.
And consciousness is a huge word. It's just, I mean, you think about it in your group one day, just what is it? Try to describe it, you know, what is it?
I just want to say one thing before we move on from this, and I'm going to hand over to Greta in a moment, who's going to lead us in a meditation. But what I wanted to say was that, you know, don't take the resistance of your family not telling you to share this stuff to heart, because I think when anybody is evolving spiritually, they're always met with resistance, and all it means is that your soul is advancing and growing. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you. So with that, I want to hand over to you, Greta. It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. Thank you. I was wondering, before I start, I would really love to have just this segment recorded on my computer.
Sure.
If you could make me co-host maybe,
yes,
then
I can. That.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me know if that is done. I think that's done now.
Okay, good.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Great.
Awesome. So usually in these segments, I end the segment with some group healing where we most of the time use emotion code or subconscious release technique to release trapped negative emotional energies. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different, because lately I've been studying emotions and how emotions get stuck in our bodies on the biological level and the energetic level. And these books that I've been reading, and specifically I've been reading The Astonishing Power of Emotions by Abraham Hicks, which is a great book about your emotional guidance system. I've been reading The Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert, which actually tells you biologically what happens in your body when you have an emotion. And also a book called Letting Go by David Hawkins. And in these books, they tell us that it's good to sit with our emotions and process our emotions, and that's all and well. But what I've been missing was the how to. And so there are multiple ways of doing it. But what I want to share today is originally a way that is used for manifesting, actually. So here you sit with a positive emotion. You think about what you want to be true in your world, and you decide how will you feel when that is true. And then you think back to a time when you felt that, and then you sit with that emotion and you're asked some questions about it. So today, so you can use this for manifesting, but today we're going to use this method for dealing with a negative emotion. So if you're having a negative emotion and you don't want to deal with it by eating it, emotional eating, you don't want to turn to drugs or alcohol, and you don't want to push it down, you actually want to do the thing that everybody tells you to do. You should sit with your emotion and just let it be. And so then you could actually use this meditation to help you guide through that. and get into the habit of actually being curious about the emotion, not judging the emotion, even though it's negative. And the first time I used it was when I experienced the emotion of jealousy. And when we're so quick to judge jealousy because you shouldn't be jealous, you should be a bigger person. But when it comes to emotions, it doesn't matter what you should or shouldn't do, how big of a person you should be. An emotion is guidance from your higher self, and it's going to show up, and then how you deal with it is going to determine if you actually got the message or not. And if you trap the emotion as a negative ball of energy in your body, or receive the message and deal with it and process it. So today, I'm going to invite you to think about something that's a little difficult in your life right now. Maybe something that as soon as you think of it, you're like, oh, you have this negative emotion. Maybe it's annoyance or anger, or maybe it's sadness, but just pick one thing. And then later on in the meditation, we're going to go back to this thing, and we're going to have a look at the emotion that it creates. And we're going to see if by observing the emotion and being curious about it, maybe we can help it dissolve. And what that does is it actually releases that negative emotional energy on an energetic level. But what it also does is that the molecules of that emotion that have attached to the cells in your body, creating the sensation of the emotion, let's say you feel it in your tummy, they will release. So, and it's the same thing because everything is energy, but I love how in these different books, it's explained in different ways. So I get to understand it on multiple levels. And sometimes because we are physical, it's easier to understand a physical explanation of molecules attaching to your cells, creating that sensation. And then when they release, the emotion is released, as opposed to the energy is released and dissolved. But it's the same thing. Does anyone have any questions before we start? Okay, then I invite you to sit comfortably, make yourself comfortable. Maybe move around a little bit before you settle down. Yeah, it feels good. All right. Now relax, sit back, close your eyes, and enjoy. Take a deep breath. And I invite you to, throughout this whole meditation, breathe all the way down into your belly. Imagine the air coming through your nose or mouth being weighted so that it doesn't stop in the lungs, but it goes all the way down into your belly so that you can take really deep breaths. Good. Now allow your body to relax. Give your weight to whatever you're sitting on, whether it's a chair, a couch, the floor. That's a representation of Mother Earth. And you can give all your weight to her. She has your back always. If there's any tension anywhere in your body, you can breathe into it and allow it to relax as you breathe out. Good. Now I want you to bring to mind whatever it is that's bothering you and creating negative emotion in your life right now. Think about it enough that you get the emotion of it in your body. And when you have the emotion of it, notice where in your body you feel this emotion. And if this emotion has a color, what color is it? If the emotion has a shape, what shape is this emotion? And is it a constant shape, or is it shifting, moving? Is it still? Is it slowly moving? Is it moving fast? Does it have a temperature? Is it cool or warm, or body temperature? And if you touch the emotion, does it have a texture? How does it feel when you touch it? Is it solid? Could you move your hand through it? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Just notice. And as you notice the emotion, as you give it attention, as you curiously explore it without judging it, is it changing? Is it growing? Or is it maybe getting smaller? Usually what happens when we give attention to a negative emotion, it goes away. And maybe you can send it some love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Nothing negative can withstand love. See if sending it love helps. If you need to, use your hands. So bring your hands to the front of your body where your emotion is, and use your hands to send love. And you can give the love a color if you want. Maybe it's a golden light that you're sending. Notice if the emotion changes. Maybe for some of you, the emotion is already gone. And if there's any remnant left of this emotion, we're going to invite the violet flame, the cleansing violet flame, to help us release the last part of it. So visualize this violet flame in front of you, and it starts out like a small flame, but it grows fast. So it's so big that it surrounds you. Mother Earth's beautiful violet cleansing flame. And feel the last little remnants of this emotion just dissolve in this cleansing violet flame. And sometimes when you want to have a look at an emotion that you would like to go away, maybe all you need to do is just be curious and look at it. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you have to send it some love. And maybe you need a little bit of help from Mother Earth and her violet flame. Now I invite you to shrink the violet flame back. It's always there for you, so you can grow it anytime you want to sit in it and be cleansed. Shrink it back, look at it and thank it. Thank Mother Earth for helping you process this emotion. Take 2 more deep breaths all the way down into your belly. If you need to make a sound, sigh it out. That's okay. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room, into your body, and into this lovely community that we're now creating. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. Wow. Well, would anybody like to share their experience? Anything about that?
I'll share.
Bonnie, go ahead.
Okay, I was reaching out to both of my children, and one was, I sent purple, and it was deep, 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 almost bluish purple, and kind of brickish, but not that hard, but kind of molding. And then the other one, I sent light blue to, but that light blue turned to a darkish blue and started to fade. But when I went in to send them the gold, I had a feeling, oh, it was kind of a dizzy little in my brain. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I didn't know if anybody else had that feeling too, or what that was. So any suggestions on that, or what it might be? Or
I certainly felt a release of the emotion, and like I experienced the darkness or the heaviness of the negative emotion that I'd been carrying. It was like a brown cactus. And I was kind of here, and then when it was releasing, I felt that sort of electricity that you're talking about, like a healing energy come through me. Maybe it was just like you know, divine energy or cosmic energy, healing energy, or brain power even. Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
Anybody else?
Syra had her hand up earlier.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just when you were talking about imagining the thing, it's kind of a bit similar to, I mean, the emotion, sorry, similar to Alexis. I sort of imagine, you know, when you have flowers and you have like a sort of grey thing that you stick the flowers in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that material, and then it was really weird. It turned into silver tinsel. So I quite like that. I don't know what that means. Craziness.
Well, silver is associated with the moon and feminine energy.
Okay.
So perhaps it transformed into like sort of celestial sparkliness.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, it sounds like it did. It's lovely. Anybody else?
I wanted to comment on Bonnie's, I'm not sure what it was. Maybe your emotion was located there in your body. It can even have been the molecules of the emotion just, you know, releasing. Maybe that's what you felt. Who knows? Yeah.
I felt it was there. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies, for your beautiful contributions, for your presence. So right now, what I would like to ask you all is to do a kind of like progression, and to remember also that all time is now, including the future. And I want to ask you about your dreams, your hopes and your dreams, right? And particularly something that you would love to do in your life. And if you would like to share what that is. Greta?
Yes. Well, I found my passion. And I mean, I've had different passions throughout life, and my previous passion was to work for the environment, which still my passion is to leave the world a better place than I found it. But I realized that there are different ways to do it. And Bonnie tells us that the only thing that exists is here and now. And so I want to feel as much joy as I can in the here and now. And in order to do that, I need to choose how I spend the most of my days. And so what I want to do is follow my passion and share my gifts of healing and manifestation all the time. And I see what I'm really craving right now. As I told the client the other day, what I'm craving is community. Like I wanna go to a ceremony. I want to sit in a circle with human beings in the same room, and I'm manifesting that. And he said, I guess 2 seconds later, he said, "Oh, I get invitations to these things all the time. Do you want me to share it with you?" And I'm like, the universe is so fast in answering my prayers.
Wow.
So I guess following my passion and community is what I am focusing on and manifesting and wanting and craving.
I'm going to ask you a kind of sad question. And the question is, what would happen if you don't get it, or if you don't do it?
What will happen is, well, hopefully nothing. But worst case is, because I've experienced earlier going against my heart and I got really sick. So I want to be resilient enough that I can be healthy no matter what I do. But it scares me to even think about it.
Okay. So with that in mind, does it create any kind of new thought? This idea of not having, or the possibility of not having your dream, does it create any new feeling or impetus within you?
Yeah, it creates fear.
Okay.
And it's not as much having as making the choices to make it possible, because it's all up to me.
Does the fear drive you forward, or does it keep you paralyzed?
I'd say it drives me forward, but I would rather process it and dissolve it and be motivated by positivity than fear.
That's a really important thing, isn't it? And it's something that I'm working through as well. You know, perhaps we all are on a day-by-day basis, with every decision and every thought and every want and every need. Greta, thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bonnie, what's yours?
First of all, Greta, I have to address this. Even though we're in the right now, the future is also in the right now. So I know that's hard to grasp, hard for me to grasp, but
thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see.
A hope or a dream?
I have a book that I published before my incident, and I would love to see that grow into something, even though I've grown past that. It's still a love of mine, and it's still something that I would love to manifest, because I think that it would bring such great joy to a lot of people. And so that's mine.
Can
So
you?
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead, Greta.
Yeah, I just wanted, can you pop the name of your book or even a link to buy it in the chat?
It's at, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
And also, there's a link in the email that I sent out, which will take you
Oh.
to.
You put it in there, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
In the last email that I sent out for this Zoom meeting, there is a link underneath Bonnie's details, which will take you straight to that book
Right.
as well.
Thank
But
you.
please do put it in the chat as well. Thank you. So
Okay.
I want to ask you, just as you're typing that, Bonnie, what would happen if you don't? Like, same question that I asked Greta. You know, if that dream didn't materialize, then, you know, what does that leave you with in terms of a feeling?
Well, it leaves me with the feeling that if I'm not here, you know, if I should die, that maybe one day it will make it. So I don't have to be here. But I would love for the story to be read and be told. And it's a fantasy story about a love. It's magical realism, but it's about love. It's about hardships and the suffering of one woman. And I mean, it gets to the point where, oh God, I can't hear anymore. Please don't. But the ending has a great ending. And so I don't like books that don't have good endings. So it had to have a good ending. So I hope one day that it finds its market. But if I'm not here, that's okay. It's not about me. You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Savannah, I love your name so much. It's such a beautiful name. It conjures up such a lovely image. And I always see blue with it, which is interesting. So what would you say is your dream or hope?
Well, not my only, but my primary hope and what I really care about and what really fires me up is just being of service to people. And there's so many different ways of doing that. But it's funny that you asked this question, because I feel like you're going to ask me the second part, which is what happens if you, because I was just speaking to Carisha and another friend about this earlier, kind of feeling that I've been away from intentionally being of service to people for not even that long, but since I've been traveling and moving around, it hasn't been kind of like the primary thing I'm doing. And it's already started to bring up a lot of just that feeling of not being in alignment, and feeling uncomfortable and feeling like there's not as much of a point to anything. So I know that for myself, when I'm not intentionally putting my time and energy into giving something to the community and receiving what I receive from that, that I'm almost immediately uncomfortable being here, and I don't feel like myself and I don't feel that connection. So it's interesting that you chose this question, because I was already feeling some of that come up of what happens when I'm not living out what I'm trying to manifest.
And so what does it leave you with? What's the feeling that it leaves you with? Like this
Just like
idea of,
restless.
yeah.
Restless, and like what is the point then?
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm not going to just leave it there with everyone. You know, there is a method to my madness. But I want to ask you, you know, all the same question. I'm going to also share mine now before I ask Carisha. For me, my dream, you know, my hope is, you know, I once heard this expression, you know, you don't want to die with your music inside of you. It terrifies me. It really does, because I have so much music inside of me and I want the world to hear it, you know, and I don't want to die with my music inside me. So that's mine.
Alexis, I have to interrupt and share something with you because this is
Please.
very personal. When you said that, I feel like crying because my father, you know, was a composer.
Wow.
And when he died, I know that's how he felt because he didn't put it out there. He was afraid. I know he was afraid of it being rejected. He didn't do it. And I know that that was his biggest regret. And I feel when you said that, I felt it in my heart, not just for you, but for my father. It's big. It's a big thing when you're a musician.
It really is. It really is.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, but
No, you didn't interrupt. You were being empathic, and I feel you the same way I feel you all. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. And, you know, I think like Greta said, and like the exercise, you know, that we've been doing this whole evening together is like realizing this kind of space that we are, this earth that we're on, right? It's such a kind of like an experimental classroom for us to figure it out, right? We're all just figuring it out. And yeah, so if I die, just to answer the second part of my question, if I die without my music inside of me, then you know, I'm kind of left with that feeling of, oh, well, what's the point? Like you said, right? But, you know, I will come to what I want to say once I've asked the question to everybody. Carisha, what's your hope? What's your dream? One of them.
This is, I guess, kind of a generalization, but it is that I just want to be able to like help as many people as possible while I'm here, to be able to connect deeper with themselves and just to feel love and self-love, know that they can heal themselves everywhere, like all around the world. And like I have specific things that I would love to do. Me and Savannah was talking about it today. We speak about it often, but things like courses and retreats and stuff to help people with that. So specific things, but I also know, so to answer your question, if that wasn't able to happen, if the specific things weren't able to happen, like the retreats and the courses, then I think that would be okay. That's not concreted because I know that the universe will have other plans for me to be able to do that same course of action, to be able to help people to connect with themselves deeper. But if similar to what Savannah said, if not the same, when I find myself in spaces where it feels like I haven't intentionally offered myself as a service to support other people for a period of time, even if it's small, I catch myself feeling really frustrated and low, and sometimes I won't even realize why it is. And then and then I'll realize, and I'll be like, oh, it's because you haven't done anything. And that feeling is just horrible. So yeah, again, it feels like, what's the point? Because I kind of feel like we're all here to do that, whether we know it or not. So we'll do it in little places anyway, or big spaces anyway, without realizing. But yeah, I would feel like a bit meh. But then with the concrete ones that I spoke about, it's okay because the universe has always got us. So whatever's supposed to happen is okay. It's still going to be fine.
You got it. You got it. Thank you, Carisha.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anna, would you like to share a hope and a dream?
Mine is actually very simple. These are three things. I want a home.
Yeah.
I want my own home. Like, I haven't had one in a long time. I want a home that nourishes me, mine, you know, that represents who I am. And I keep seeing it surrounded by these Mediterranean pine trees with the sea. And yeah, and this place is like my base, my retreat, my base from which I can be the best that I am and really bring what I do out into the world.
There's a lot of interference happening on your microphone,
Yeah,
but
there's
I can hear you.
there's a storm happening right now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Just suddenly there's like a storm.
Interesting.
So I don't know what you heard. Sorry.
No, I heard everything that you said.
Okay.
So just answer the scary part as well, if you would, about what, you know, what would happen, or what feeling are you left with, you know, if you don't get it?
Resignation and like the feeling of like, all right, disappointment, maybe a bit of annoyance and irritation. You know, but at the same time, sort of like resignation and sort of a trusting in that something else will manifest that will be okay, or it will maybe be better or something like that, you know. Sometimes we think we want something, and when we get it, it really isn't what we needed, or we think we needed at that time, and then and then it's not actually what is for our highest good. For example, a relationship at a certain time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a home with a guy, okay, with my future partner.
I got you. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Anna. And Syra, same question to you if you want to share. You know, what do you have as a hope or a dream?
Well, I think that I've probably tried to plan too many sort of wishes that I want to fulfill, and then I get really disappointed when those things don't happen. For example, I'll just give you I was working towards trying to get into the West End in a musical, and then that never happened, so I got really heartbroken, and then I just thought, well, obviously it's not meant to be. And then now I just try and do things, maybe I shouldn't say try. I mean, I hope to do things that make me happy and I'm passionate about. And I do find that when I don't know, like, sometimes I feel like I'm giving and then not being appreciated for my services or my efforts or my work situation. And so I kind of now don't want to make too many plans and just see what kind of sort of, what's the word, unfolds, is that the right word? And unfolds, I should say. Because I've found that when I used to try and make goals, I've got to do this and this has got, you know, you just end up with sort of disappointment if those things don't happen. So I think it's better to just live doing things that bring you joy. And if you can help people along the way as well, that's a bonus.
Thank you, Syra. Isn't it interesting how, you know, we all kind of share this commonality, and it's like we're all part of this one energy. We're all this kind of like expression of this one being, or this same self. And, you know, why I wanted for us to just like, you know, speak it, and also like look at the possibility of not having it, is to just remember to trust, and just to remember to surrender, and to remember that we're always taken care of at every moment. And that when we feel like we're not, that's just our ego or our lower selves just kind of like experiencing this fear that isn't real. But we are always taken care of in one way or another. And life guides us to circumstances and to situations and to people, and gives us exactly what we need at that time. And if there are shifts that need to make, they're always in consciousness, nothing else. They're just in consciousness. So, you know, when you're not having a good time, there's just a little shift in your consciousness that needs to happen. That's all. And align with joy. Because you know this, we all know this in our soul, right? We all know this in our hearts. Let's reach for joy. And we're always recognized, we're always seen by the divine intelligence. So, you know, take heart and know that we are exactly where we need to be and that this moment is perfect. And let's not struggle or fight or resist. Let's just surrender. Thank you all for being here this evening. And I want to close this session with some gratitude. And I'm going to start, and then I'll go around the group. And I'm going to say, I'm really grateful for light, candlelight, colors, stars. Syra, what are you grateful for?
Grateful that I'm actually healing. I've had a pulled hamstring for 3 months and it's slowly getting better. So I'm grateful for that.
Thanks, Syra. Savannah, what are you grateful for?
Wait, did you say Savannah?
Yes.
Sunshine.
Beautiful. Thank you, Savannah. Carisha.
Oh, so much. I'm grateful for so much. But when you just said sunshine, it made me think of birds, and I am obsessed with seeing birds fly. So I'm so grateful that I get to see that all the time. I basically leave the house.
We're so similar, you and I. I love birds too.
We can go bird watching, Alexis.
I think we need to do that soon.
Yes, please.
Yeah, over coffee. That sounds lovely. Thank you, Carisha. Bonnie, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for right now. I'm grateful that I'm with you, all of you, and I'm not thinking about things said to me. I'm grateful for this moment that I can relax mentally. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that really kind of like wraps up all that you spoke of, you know, like the power of now. It really ties in beautifully. Thank you, Bonnie.
Oh, thank you.
Greta.
I've been in the forest the last few days picking blueberries and mushrooms, so I'm really grateful for the amazing abundance and bounty of nature.
That's gorgeous. Thank you, Greta. And Anna.
I'm grateful for the delicious cool breeze that's blowing right now with the smell of rain that's carrying into the house. We had a heat wave here in Spain that was just awful. And just this cool air with the smell of this rain, it's just like, oh, it's a gift.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. And I hope you all have a beautiful evening. It's lovely seeing all of your faces. We're going to have another Sacred Segments in 2 weeks, which is the date will be the 2nd of September. So Savannah, I would like to speak to you at some point. So perhaps we can talk on Facebook about a meditation. I want to.
And Sayulita.
And Sayulita. So grateful to see all of your faces. And Greta, thank you so much for your beautiful meditation tonight. And Bonnie for sharing all of that profound wisdom. Thank you to all of you and have a wonderful evening. Lots of love.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.